I want to ask you about a conversation you have been avoiding. There is one in every workplace, every team, every organization. A conversation that needs to happen, that everyone knows needs to happen, that nobody is having. Maybe it is with an underperforming team member, maybe it is with a colleague whose behavior is affecting the team, maybe it is with your own manager about something that has been wrong for months. The longer that conversation does not happen, the more expensive it becomes. I call this the conflict avoidance tax, and most organizations are paying it every single day without realizing it. Conflict avoidance is the default setting in most professional environments, and it is entirely understandable. Conflict feels risky. It might damage the relationship, it might escalate, it might make things worse, it might reflect badly on me as a manager. So we avoid. We hope the problem resolves itself. We manage around the difficult person. We accept the substandard role rather than address it. We have the conversation in our head 100 times and never in the room. And the cost accumulates. The team member whose performance is not addressed brings the whole team down and eventually leaves anyway, taking the problem and the accumulated resentment with that. The colleague whose behavior is tolerated becomes more difficult over time because tolerance signals permission. The manager who never hears honest feedback from below makes decisions based on incomplete information, and the organization pays for those decisions. Conflict avoidance is not a peaceful choice, it is an expensive one. Three principles for addressing conflict before it becomes a tax. Principle 1: name it early, not late. The cost of a conflict conversation increases with every day it is delayed. What could have been a 5-minute honest exchange in week 1 becomes a formal performance process in month 6. The leader who names a problem early, when it is still small, when it is still easy to address, pays a fraction of the cost that the leader who avoids pays later. Name it early, not perfectly, not with all the right words, just name it. I want to talk about something I have noticed. I might be wrong, but I think we need to discuss it. That sentence, said early, is worth months of avoidance. Principle 2: separate the person from the behavior. Most conflict avoidance comes from fear of attacking the person, and that fear is appropriate. Attacking people does not resolve conflict, it escalates. But there is a difference between attacking a person and addressing a behavior. And that difference is everything. Not you are difficult to work with, but in our last 3 team meetings, I noticed you interrupted people repeatedly, and I want to understand what was happening for you. Not your attitude is the problem, but when the deadline changed last week, you responded in a way that affected the team, and I want to talk about that. Specific, behavioral, non personal. This is the SBI framework applied to conflict, and it makes the conversation possible when it would otherwise feel impossible. Principle 3: resolve for the relationship, not just the incident. Most conflict conversations focus on resolving the immediate incident, the missed deadline, the difficult meeting, the specific behavior. But the most important outcome of any conflict conversation is not the resolution of the incident, it is the quality of the relationship afterward. A conflict conversation that resolves the incident but damages the relationship has not solved the problem. It has created a new one. The question to ask at the end of every difficult conversation is not just, have we resolved this? But does this person feel heard? Do they feel respected? Do they feel that this conversation was in their interest as well as mine? If yes, The relationship is stronger for having had the conversation. And that is the only outcome that actually reduces the long term cost. A team leader came to me with a problem. She had a team member, technically capable but consistently late with deliverables. Not by days, by hours, but consistently. And it was affecting downstream work for the whole team. She had been managing around it for 4 months, adjusting her own planning, absorbing the delays, saying nothing. When I asked why she had not addressed it, she said, I did not want to damage the relationship. He is genuinely good at his work. I did not want to demotivate him. What she had actually done by saying nothing for 4 months was communicate to him that lateness was acceptable and communicate to her whole team that standards were flexible. We worked through how to have the conversation. She had it the following week. It took 11 minutes. He had no idea his lateness was causing downstream problems. Nobody had ever told him. He changed the behavior immediately and completely. 4 months of avoidance, 11 minutes of honest conversation. The tax she paid in those 4 months was entirely unnecessary. Here is your challenge this week. Name the conversation you have been avoiding, not to anyone else, just to yourself. Write it down. Name the person, name the issue, name how long you have been avoiding it. Then ask yourself, what is the cost of one more month of avoidance? If the answer is significant, have the conversation this week. Tell me in the comments how long is the longest you have ever avoided a necessary conversation. CHROs, DM me conflict if you want to talk about building a culture where difficult conversation happen early. I am Bikash Kalita. See you next week.